Hi y'all, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to another review that for reasons should not basically have existed if it were in accordance to my anti-hauling and my will I buy it-ing. But just like some things, they land in your lap for some reason or another, and I figure I have it now. Why not create the content? So today we're going to be talking about the 3 new Huda Beauty nudes palettes. Y'all know ever since biting the bullet on those like obsession jewel tone palettes of hers, I've been a very big fan and a very big advocate for these like little minis of hers because I feel like they're a great way to try out her formula without spending the big bucks. And they're also really good travel friendly, kind of the same idea of the ColourPop monochromatic palettes where you're like, look, it's a little curated palette, we're good to go. And y'all know, on top of everything, I am a big fan of her new nude palette, so I'm like, where could we go wrong? I did initially anti-haul these. I did make a statement where I was like, you know, I'm anti-hauling them because I have the new nude palette, and so how different and groundbreaking could these be if I have that palette? But then these were presented to me by my ever so loving and addiction understanding husband. So we're just gonna go in and talk everything. I'm gonna swatch these for you. I'm gonna do some like comparing between the new nude. So like if you have the new nude, do you need these at all? I am actually wearing a mixture of all 3 on my peepers today. And we'll do the swatches and then we'll talk about some of the this is kind of like a not completely positive, but also not completely trash talking review. We're very much in the middle on this one. But we're gonna start off with the Nude Light. And if we're just talking about the packaging on a whole, I love the fact that she went from just kind of the cardboard flip top to these nice, sleek acrylic ones. It's got this nice faux, croc, embossed, whateverness packaging on point. I love these. They're gonna run you $29 and I'm pretty sure they're permanent. If not, I will correct myself in the description box. And so you open up the light one going on here and you're like, well, that's light. And this one definitely, I feel like from amongst all 3 of them, this one is the one that I feel skews the most similar to the original. I don't know if it's that kind of light peachy layout and the fact that this literally looks like it's just been birthed from this palette, but you have definitely got some frickin' similarities. Similarities. I feel like people watching me for the first time are gonna guess that English is not my first language. Like all her palettes, at least these little ones, there is no name, it's just a color. So we're just gonna go in and we're gonna swatch these. So we got this color, which is basically Buon Fresco, maybe a little bit purplier. We got this one. This one is what I'd put in on my eyelid. And it feels, her shimmers feel so beautiful. We are going to talk about performance, but when you're swatching them, they feel beautiful. So we got that right there. I mean, look at that top shade and that shimmer. That is a Jesus take the wheel moment. And once again, all the shimmers just feel absolutely amazing. I mean, they're just so smooth and creamy. I mean, like I said, ooh, look at that. And then just this kind of like setting shade. You know how I feel about that. And then this one right here, which is another, look at that poppin'. Then right here, this shade going on here. This one, which is nice, not the smoothest of mattes that she has, but you know, it's kind of in that middle ground. And we're gonna put it right here. There we go. Okay, so first things first about this one. If you have this, you don't need this, just straight up. Although it does have part of what these palettes have going for them that you don't get in the new Nude palette is they have some beautiful and gorgeous, amazing, unique shimmers. Like this purple one here, this pink one, and then this peachy brown. Beautiful. stunning. But, you know, if you're looking at it a bit more critically, you've got this shade here, which is essentially a deeper version of this shade. You got this shade right here, which is a lighter version of this shade. There just really isn't a lot more that you get in this that you have in this, although it does have those beautiful shimmers. So I feel like this is a palette that's not necessarily one on its own so much as it is a really amazing companion palette to this one. But why are we spending $29 for a companion palette? I absolutely hate this shade here in the middle. Even if it's a light palette, when you put in a setting shade like this, it takes away from all the wonderful shades that could have been put in. And although, yes, it's nice to set your eye and do all that jazz, you know, we all have translucent powder, we all have whatever. I mean, this isn't even gonna be no crease shade. I mean, this is like my skin tone. So I feel like that takes away some of the eclecticness, but I feel like out of all of them, this is the one that is the most redundant. Going on to the medium here, which is where we start getting to some dark and decadent. I will say color story wise, the medium and the deep are the most exciting, and I feel like the most stand out even from the palette itself and on their own. Once again, no names, no whatever. We're just going on in here. Beautiful. Beautiful. This is very like, while the first one is kind of like pinky, light, whateverness going on, this is very much more burnt and deep and kind of a more decadent color scheme. And here we have that. And there, I mean, that's just so pretty. That is like fall right there. Then we have this shade here, which is very smooth. And then this one right here. And this one, I will say, when you're looking at these two shades, I mean, can you see them on camera? They're almost completely identical. So I wish there had been a bit more definition in that department because they're just so blinking similar. And the last row right here, going on like this. Here we go. This is what we've got going on here. Once again, part of what makes this palette a bit more, I feel, unique are those really beautiful shimmers going on in here. She really has created a very beautiful color story that's cohesive and well done, but when we look in here, this one, as we get into the deeper ones, we are going to find that they are just a bit less of a duplicate from in here. Shimmer-wise, we've only got one that's kind of similar to something in here, so you have that going on there for you. Thank goodness. Thank God. None of these mini palettes had a pressed glitter in it. I would have thrown such a big fit. But you've only got a few colors that kind of work tonally in the same way that this one. So whereas in the first one, the light one, where you had 3 or 4 or 5 colors even that could basically be duped out, in this one you've only got 2 comparable colors in the original palette. And like I keep saying, the shimmers that are included in these little palettes are basically nothing like the shimmers that you get in the new Nude. So we're bringing that theme of that nude and whateverness going on, and we're kind of kicking up our cha-cha-cha-cha game with the really beautiful and unique shimmers. Although I will talk about, right now we're just talking about initial whatevers. When we're done doing that, I'm going to be talking about how I feel about these shimmers and their consistency. Then we get into the rich, which is probably the most beautiful looking of the 3. Now, I will say that this palette does draw a lot of similarities from other red-toned palettes she's released in the past. But just looking at this, you're like, yes, those deep, dark, sumptuous, delicious cherryness going on right here. So we're just gonna start from here to here. Once again, no color names. This one here, a little bit rougher to the touch, which is kind of consistent with darker whateverness colors. And we've got this one right here and this one here. have going on right there. I will say right off the bat, this one could be a lot more pigmented, especially for it being that deep, because the times that I tried to use this shade, by the time I'd gotten to like, you know, the most deepening of my crease, I would put it on and I would just kind of, you know, we'd pat it on first to get the most opacity, and I'd pat my brush on there and it would be like, what? Wasn't really doing nothing and really didn't want to play on top of shadows I had layered previously. And we got this shimmer right here, and then this one here, and this one here. Once again, they feel and really look nicey nice. And last but not least, this one, oh my god, can you see that? And this one here, and this matte final here. Got it going on. I mean, look. Woo! This one and this one right here. Okay, so I'm going to say right off the bat that these mattes in all three of these palettes are not what I consider to be her typical formula, although these have, I think, just a little bit 4 stars on Sephora, and I was reading the reviews and it was like, they're pigmented, they're blendable, they're amazing. Where when I compared these to say her new Nude palette, Rose Gold Remastered, Desert Dusk, the Jewel Tone Obsessions, the Neon Obsessions, they just weren't the same seamless, blendable, smooth quality that I had experienced from Huda before. So you kind of have that going for it. And then part of this is a personal preference thing. This is a personal, I don't know, vendetta or an issue that I take with certain shimmers in palettes. Y'all saw the swatches. The swatches look beautiful. They were bright. They were shiny. They were metallic. They were ka-cha-cha-cha-cha. However, when you go to pick up these shimmers on a brush and then you go to apply them on your lid without a tacky primer, without a glitter glue or a shadow base, they kind of go from ka-cha-cha-cha-cha to effervescent fairy fart top coater. And I sort of have a personal vendetta against shimmer shades that need an extra 2 or 3 steps to make them do what they're supposed to do on your eyelid. If you look at the Anastasia shimmers in the Modern Renaissance, in the Soft Glam, in the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk, or the Huda Beauty Rose Gold Remastered. You know, what do you have to do with those? You pick them up on a brush, and you apply them on your lids, and you are good to go. While this is beautiful and stunning and really pretty, it took a lot of finessing. It took a lot of digging up in there. It took a lot of patting and then smoothing and then whatevering. And I really do resent a shimmer that takes so much work. And when you're looking at a palette from a practical sense and you're thinking, you know, not everyone who's buying these is a cut crease goddess, is a makeup artist, is someone who has the time or wants to give the effort into doing all that for a shimmer. You know, why can't we just make them nicey nice on their own instead of it becoming, you know, a wash of glitter with a little bit of that shimmy shiny pigment? It is something that honestly, consistently and constantly baffles me, because if the shimmers in here had been the same in their swatches as they are on my lid, I would be raving about these like nobody's business. But when you gotta press so hard and you gotta get so much for just a little bit of payoff when you should be getting that sheen of metallic wonderfulness, I'm a little frustrated. And it is not the same for all of them. These two you gotta work. This one you don't gotta work. That one you do. You know, some of them work all smooth and perfect, while other of them want to be very, very stubborn. This one goes on smooth as butter. These 3, you gotta work with them. And I'm just like, we've created smooth, amazing, creamy, one-swipe opacity shimmers before. What are we doing wrong this time? You know, it's not bad. It's just like, why are we making something that we have to work so hard for? Do I think that these are something that you really have to go out and immediately buy? Probably not, especially if you have the new Nude, this one, and the middle one. You know, you've got it. There's very little that you could create with these than you couldn't with those, except for the fact that they do have different shimmers. But this is definitely something that I'm not gonna say, oh my goodness, run out and buy, it's perfection, because I feel like the mattes don't blend or are not as pigmented as they could be. A lot of them kind of just tend to muddy together a little bit, and that makes me very sad inside. I'm honestly gonna keep playing with these for a lot more because they're slightly sentimental and I really wanna like them, but if we've got a receipt, they might be going back. I just feel like quality-wise and consistency-wise, this was kind of a missed mark for Huda. And obviously this is just my opinion because they've got over 4 stars on Sephora. So if you have them, I know a couple of y'all have said you have the medium and the rich one. You're like, they're amazing, they're fantastic. Obviously, let me know what you think because I feel like they're very much hit and miss. This is something you're gonna wanna go in and you're gonna wanna swatch it and feel it and whatever. Although swatches are the biggest lie about those shimmers because if you're going to pick that up with a brush, it is not going to give you what you get on your finger. So in all honesty, these were a little bit underwhelming because, you know, I love her formula. I have a lot of her little mini ones. I like the formula she has in her larger palettes. And so to kind of have this one in such a beautiful little executed color stories, have it be so hit and miss it's a little sad, but obviously this is just my experience using these, so definitely let me know what you think down below. You love them, you hate them, you're whatever. I know a lot of you are like on the Huda Beauty, understandable, but thank you guys so much for watching. I love you, and as always, keep it real. Mwah!